Is he still speaking?
Still?
Can you see my parents?
Just?
I won't have to look at them, will I, when...
Perhaps. Claire.
What?
Remember, Claire, it is good.
It is good.
It is good.
It is good.
It is good, Claire.
If only you knew how I felt.
I do know. We all know.
Yes.
I call Claire Howard.
The case you're about to see is a fictional one, but the procedure is authentic. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the general public. Roy Howard and his wife Jennifer are accused of kidnapping and falsely imprisoning their daughter Claire.
Your full name, please.
Claire Marianne Howard.
Where do you live, Miss Howard?
At Dinton House, Reading, Berkshire.
And when did you first begin living at this address?
At the end of July last year.
Now, is it correct that Dinton House is the UK headquarters of an international body which calls itself the Movement?
Yes.
As simply and as briefly as possible, Miss Howard, will you tell His Honour and the jury the nature of this movement?
Right. The movement. Well, it's an applied religious philosophy, which may sound a bit pretentious. It's easiest just to see us as a group of people who live under one roof in order to praise God. We share everything, not just our possessions, but our thoughts and emotions too. Some of the time is spent in private prayer and meditation, but there's a lot of practical work that needs to be done around a big old house like Dinton. In the evening, we sing songs to God or pray. It's all quite spontaneous what happens then. It's lovely. Well, that's it, really.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Howard. So, in your opinion, would it be accurate to describe Dinton House as one of a network of religious communities?
Yes.
Now, can you help me with this, please? Were you, so to speak, a fully fledged member of the movement from the day that you first began living at Dinton House?
Oh, no, not at all. To become a full member, you have to undergo a period of training, which lasts about 4 months. You're known then as apprentice. At the end of the training, there's a review. And if the movement's happy and the apprentice is happy, you're admitted to a full membership.
So it was as apprentice or trainee that you were living at Dinton House during August and September of last year, is that right?
Yes.
How old were you when you joined?
18.
Miss Howard, this body, this organisation called the Movement, does it associate itself in however informal a fashion with the tenets and beliefs of Christianity?
Oh, no, Your Honour. It's not Christian or anything else. That's why it's called the Movement, because it's a movement to unite a world divided by so many beliefs.
Ah, yes, thank you. Mr. Harvester?
Your Honour. Now, let's move on to what occurred on Saturday, October the 16th. Can you remember where you were that morning?
Yes, I was in the front garden at Dinton. Melissa, that's Miss St. John, my instructor during the training, came and told me my father had just been on the phone.
Now, Miss Howard, don't tell us what she said, but as a result of your conversation with Miss St. John, did you agree to meet your parents for dinner at 7 o'clock that same evening?
Yes.
Your parents being the defendants, Roy Howard and Jennifer Howard, is that correct?
Yes.
How long was it since you had lived with your parents in Fulchester, Miss Howard?
About 3 months, almost exactly.
And were you happy to be living where you now live, at Dinton House?
Oh, very happy. It's my home.
And where did you understand your parents to have invited you for dinner?
The Mirador restaurant. It's a fancy little Italian place in the middle of Reading. Melissa said she'd drive me there, so I said, why not stay for the meal? Anyway, I need the moral support.
Why did you feel the need for moral support, Miss Howard?
Well, I knew Mummy and Daddy didn't like me living at Dinton, and I suspected they'd come from Fulchester to try and talk me out of it.
So did Miss St. John agree to your suggestion?
Yes.
So then, did you, Miss St. John, and your parents meet up for dinner at the Mirador at the time arranged?
Yes.
Did your parents seem happy about Miss St. John joining your party?
No, they weren't.
Did anyone leave the table during dinner?
Yes. After about half an hour, Miss St. John went to fetch something from her car.
And as she went out, did your father say something to you?
He said, "Go on now, the bitch can't see you. Have some wine, have a glass of wine," over and over again. He looked almost mad.
Was there any reason why you should not drink alcohol?
It's a strict rule of the movement.
But nevertheless, did you finally agree to drink some wine?
Well, yes. He was so beside himself, I thought he might go up and smoke if I didn't. I remember him pouring a glassful of wine, like this, holding the bottle in his right hand, and his left was clenched here next to the glass. And then he did something very strange. He banged the bottle back on the table very loudly and laughed. Then he handed me the glass of wine.
Was it apparent to you why he held his left hand clenched beside the glass?
No.
Why did he laugh? Do you know?
No.
Had you seen him pour glasses of wine before?
Well, yes. He's had wine with his evening meal for as long as I can recall.
Was it his custom to bang down the bottle on the table and laugh for no apparent reason?
No.
Did you drink the wine that he poured for you?
About half of it, yes.
What effect did it have on you?
I began to feel terribly sick. I had to hold on to the edge of the table to steady myself, and then, nothing.
You lost consciousness, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
When and where did you regain consciousness?
The next morning, I was in bed in my old room at my parents' house.
Ah, now that being 18 Langfield Crescent, Fulchester, correct?
Yes.
How did you feel?
Awful. As if someone had banged me over the head with a sledgehammer.
What did you do when you woke up?
Well, I went to the bedroom door, but I was locked in. Then I crossed the room to the window and found I couldn't open them either.
Why not?
Well, there was a new catch between the top and bottom sash. You'd need a key to release it.
And had this fitting been installed since you had last lived at home, Miss Howard?
Yes.
So inevitably you didn't possess the requisite key, did you?
Oh, no. Well, then I went back to the door and started hammering on it. After a while, Mummy came in with a breakfast tray, so I rushed past her down the stairs to the front door. Again, there was a new lock, a mortise lock, which was locked, of course.
And what did you later discover?
That every door and window in the house was locked. They'd thought of everything.
On that first morning, Sunday, October the 17th, did you have a long conversation with your mother in the kitchen?
It was more in the nature of a blazing row, actually.
During the course of this blazing row, did she refer to the events of the previous evening?
Yes. She said, "I'm sorry we had to do it, darling, but we only want what's best for you."
What did you understand by the words, "we had to do it"?
That they kidnapped me. Well, I then asked her how long they planned to keep me confined to the house, and she said, "Just until you feel ready to accept help."
Help? What sort of help?
Well, that's what I kept asking, but she wouldn't say directly.
How long were you held prisoner in the house?
About 3 weeks, from the Sunday to November the 5th, the Friday. For an hour each day, I was allowed to walk round and round the garden on my mother's arm. The rest of the time, I was confined to the house.
Did you ever attempt to escape?
Twice, yes. The first time, I ran away from Mummy in the garden, but I didn't get further than the front gate. Then, a few days later, I ran off down the street. Again, Daddy ran after me, caught me. He looked completely demented and shouted, "You fool, you stupid little fool!"
Were you allowed visitors?
None of my choice, no.
Who then did, in fact, visit you during that period?
Dr. Curtis. He came to the house maybe 3 times.
Who was this Dr. Curtis?
Well, he calls himself a behaviour therapist, whatever that means. He said I'd have to go to the Garth Clinic to be deprogrammed because the movement had brainwashed me. Of course, that was all nonsense.
Now, the Garth Clinic is a private psychiatric hospital in Fulchester, is that right?
Yes.
On Friday, November the 5th, did you agree to enter, and did you enter the Garth Clinic as Dr. Curtis's patient?
Yes.
Why had you in the end agreed to his proposal?
Well, I thought I'd have a better chance of escaping from there, that's all.
Did you try to escape?
Yes. On the 10th day in the early hours of the morning. Miss St. John was waiting for me at the gate and drove me back to Dinton House.
So Dr. Curtis's deprogramming proved a failure, did it?
Well, naturally. You can't deprogram love.
Have you been accepted recently into the movement as a full member?
I have, yes.
And what are your feelings about that, Miss Howard?
It's wonderful.
Thank you, Miss Howard. Wait there, please.
Miss Howard, would you look at this postcard, please? It would appear to be a postcard with a Reading postmark and dated October the 7th, 1982. It is addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Howard, your parents, at 18 Langfield Crescent, Fulchester, and has the appearance of having been hastily scribbled with a pencil. Do you recognize the handwriting, Miss Howard?
Yes, it's mine.
This is to be exhibit number 1, Mr. Ellis.
It is, Your Honor. Now, Miss Howard, will you turn it over, please, and read what it says?
Dinton, Thursday. Please come, please. They're trying to destroy me, these monsters. I'm so frightened. Come quickly, Claire.
Do you remember writing this card?
Yes.
It was written during your training, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, and who were these monsters you referred to?
The others. At Dinton.
The members of the movement who lived at Dinton House.
Yes.
Yes. Now, I suggest the reason you felt these people were trying to destroy you was that since the end of July, they had inflicted upon you a regime of deprivation, humiliation, and downright torture designed to break your will, impair your intellect, and reduce you to the level of a mindless slave to the movement. Isn't that the plain fact of the matter?
No! I regretted writing that stupid card from the moment I posted it.
When you returned to Fulchester after your 10 or 11-week stay at Dinton House, a number of people noticed how thin you had become, thin to the point of emaciation. Can you explain how this came about?
The training involves a lot of strenuous physical exercise.
And what was your diet during this strenuous physical exercise?
It was a macrobiotic diet.
Which consisted almost exclusively of cooked, unpolished rice known as brown rice, didn't it?
Yes.
You also had to cope with a little sleep, did you not? How many hours sleep were you permitted each night?
I don't know. Not many, but I didn't seem to need many.
It was about 4, wasn't it?
Yes. It could have been 4.
Yes, it's also the case, isn't it, that trainees are not permitted to speak to anyone except their instructors during their training. Is that so?
That doesn't mean to say the others stop caring for you. You can communicate with kindness as well as words.
I see. Well, what sort of kindness was shown to you when you admitted to Miss St. John that you had sent your parents a card begging them to come to Dinton House?
She was very understanding about it. Well, they all were. But I'd broken the rules. I had to be punished for it.
Yes, which took the form, did it not, of being pushed into a cellar informally known as the ice box, and there you were forced to stay in the dark and without food and water for a period of 24 hours. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. No one forced me to do anything. The cellar door wasn't locked. I could have left any time if I'd wished to.
When, on the Saturday which followed, Miss St. John came into the garden and told you your father had just rung, did she also tell you that she had accepted a dinner invitation on your behalf?
Yes, I didn't really want to meet Mummy and Daddy.
Even though in the previous week you'd just sent them a card begging them to come to Dinton?
Yes. Melissa pointed out that it would be better for them and better for the movement if they could see for themselves that I was fine.
The truth is, Miss St. John made it clear to you you could see your parents, but only if she accompanied you. Is that right?
No! I wanted her to come.
Now, which rules of training were, in fact, to be relaxed that evening? I mean, would you be permitted to speak to your parents?
Yes.
What about dietary restrictions?
Well, Melissa said I could eat anything I liked, but she advised me to stick to very plain food.
Alcohol?
No alcohol, no.
Now, at 7 in the evening, you, Miss St. John, and your parents sat down to dine at the Mirador restaurant, and according to what you've just told us, the purpose of your being there was to give a good account of yourself and thereby of the movement to your parents. But you remained almost silent throughout the meal, did you not?
Yes, Mummy and Daddy were being very embarrassing.
No, Miss Howard. I suggest to you, on the contrary, it was the presence of Miss St. John you found embarrassing. Because the one thing you longed to say to your parents, namely, take me home, you couldn't while she was there, could you?
Oh, that's rubbish.
Well, don't you remember uttering those very words the moment your instructor left the restaurant?
No, I don't remember, because I never said it.
Then there's the question of the wine, this glass of wine your father poured for you, which you admit you drank. Now, you had already broken one rule of training by posting the card for which you had been severely punished. Now, here you are again, not 10 days later, breaking another. And this rule, again, according to your testimony, was just about the only one not to be relaxed that evening in question.
He looked mad, as I said before. He frightened me.
Oh, were you frightened he might strike you?
Yes, possibly.
Had he ever struck you in his life before?
No. But at that moment I was afraid of him.
Miss Howard, I suggest when you met your parents, you had but one thought in your mind, that somehow at the end of the evening you would be going home with them, and that you told them so the moment Miss St. John, your instructor, your tormentor, was out of the restaurant, and you drank the wine of your own volition to give yourself courage to carry out your plan, and its effect on you was, well, no more than might be expected on a constitution so weakened by the most appalling, inhumane ill treatment.
No, no!
And now you dare not, or you cannot, tell the truth, either from misplaced loyalty to the movement, or from plain, old-fashioned fear, Miss Howard.
Well, that's not true. The movement works through joy, not fear. Why else would I go back to them?
Miss St. John, where did you first meet Miss Howard?
At a student party in London.
Why were you attending this party?
I live in the flat downstairs. I can't say why I was invited. Maybe to stop me complaining about the noise, or perhaps they felt sorry for me.
What were your first impressions of Miss Howard?
Rather lost-looking and unhappy. Fairly immature, but a good intellect, that much was obvious. All in all, I was intrigued.
Did you talk to her for any length of time on that occasion?
No, the party was too noisy for that.
So how did you conclude your conversation?
I asked her for lunch at my flat on the following day.
Yes. And did you and Miss Howard meet again during that week?
Yes, for supper, again at my flat.
Who first made the suggestion that she should accompany you to Dinton House, you or she?
Claire did.
And how long did she stay at Dinton House?
For a week, first of all, as our guest.
And at the end of that week, did she ask if she might stay on as a trainee at Dinton House?
Yes, she did.
What was your reaction to that request?
I told her no. I said she should go back home, do her 3 years at university, and then if she still felt the same way about us, well, we reconsider. But she wouldn't be persuaded.
Did you then call a meeting of the General Council at Dinton House to discuss her case?
Yes, I did. And we there decided to take her on board. After all, she was 18, she knew her own mind, she liked us, and we loved her. If there was any parental hysteria, or if, as I feared, she became the focus of another smear campaign in the newspapers, why, we'd face it out together, as we have often done in the past.
Now, in general terms, Miss St. John, how would you characterize the training that each apprentice or trainee receives?
It's a very demanding spiritual adventure. Emotionally, it's like a switchback railway, periods of ecstasy followed by, how shall one call it, depression, inner turmoil. But our instructors have wide experience in dealing with these downers.
What kind of progress did Miss Howard make as apprentice?
She progressed very well.
At about 10 a.m. on Saturday, October the 16th, did you receive a phone call?
Yes, I did. It was from Claire's father. I expected him to telephone on account of a silly letter Claire had written.
What was his manner on the telephone?
Abusive, to put it mildly.
Did you agree to let Miss Howard meet him and his wife that evening at the Mirador restaurant in Reading?
Yes.
Where she would be allowed to speak to them if she wished.
Of course. We're not inflexible, you know.
You drove Miss Howard to Reading, and both of you entered the Mirador restaurant about 7 p.m., correct?
Yes. It was Claire who asked me to stay. I rather gather she didn't want to face her parents on her own.
Now, during the meal, Miss St. John, was anything said by either defendant which led you to believe that your presence there was unwelcome?
Oh, repeatedly. At one point, her father leaned across the table so that his face was only an inch from mine, and he hissed he used a rather uncouth expression.
What did he say?
He said, "Look, why don't you just piss off?" To which I replied, "Are you dropping some subtle hint?" He was very angry.
And then later, did you in fact leave the restaurant
Yes.
on your own?
Yes, I did.
Why did you?
To fetch a book for my car. Bill Allen's One Spirit, One World.
Who is this Bill Allen?
He's an American writer and the founder of the movement. Claire's mother had made some foolish remark about us, and I wanted to read her a passage from the book to prove that she was wrong.
Where was your car parked in relation to the restaurant?
In a side street about 200 yards away. When I turned the corner back into the main road, I saw a commotion going on outside the restaurant, a lot of people shouting and scuffling. It was only as I drew nearer that I realized one of them was Claire, and then her mother and father, and they were dragging her along by the arms. Of course, I knew instantly what was happening. She was being kidnapped.
As you joined the group, did you ascertain who else was involved in this commotion?
Yes, 2 waiters from the Mirador. They were both arguing with Claire's father. I'm not sure what. My one thought was to rescue Claire. Mrs. Howard had the back door of the car open, and Claire was struggling as best she could.
So Miss Howard was still conscious, was she?
I think half-conscious would be more accurate, drooping eyelids, utterly bewildered.
Yeah, but for instance, did she recognize you?
I honestly don't think she did.
Was she resisting the defendant's attempts to drag her to the car?
As far as she was capable, yes.
And did you try to enlist the help of the waiters in order to free Miss Howard?
Well, that's it. I was trying to pull Claire away, and the waiters were still shouting at Mr. Howard, so of course I naturally assumed in this confusing situation that they were trying to prevent the kidnap. So I shouted at them, help me, but they paid no attention.
Later, did you discover the cause of this dispute between the waiters and the Howards?
Well, I suppose it was because they hadn't paid their bill in their hurry to abduct Claire. Anyway, by now, Claire was inside the car, and she was lying across the back seat. I tried to grab Mrs. Howard's arm, but she turned and she scratched my face. She then pushed me off the pavement, and I fell in the gutter behind the car, which then roared off. That was the last I saw of them.
Now, in the weeks that followed, did you make any attempts to contact Miss Howard at Fulchester, her parents' home?
Yes, I did.
What, by letter or telephone?
Both. Claire never received any letters, and every time I telephoned, it was her mother who answered.
What did her mother tell you on these occasions?
She didn't tell me anything. As soon as she heard my voice, she put the receiver down.
And finally, Miss St. John, did Miss Howard make contact with you again?
Yes, she did. After 5 weeks of silence. She telephoned me from the Garth Clinic.
Why did she ring you?
So that we could discuss how she could best make her escape. We arranged that she'd get out somehow, that I'd wait for her in my car outside the front gate. Real cloak and dagger stuff.
And was the plan successful?
Yes.
And does Miss Howard now live at Dinton House?
Yes. Claire has made a most useful contribution to the movement. And we hope she'll be with us for many, many years to come.
The case of Claire Howard against Roy and Jennifer Howard will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.
All stand.
The case you're about to see is a fictional one, but the procedure is authentic. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the general public. Roy Howard and his wife Jennifer are accused of kidnapping and falsely imprisoning their daughter Claire. Yesterday, Claire gave her version of the events, and her allegations were supported by Melissa St. John, a fellow member of the religious sect to which Claire belongs. The case is now in its second day, and Miss St. John is about to be cross-examined.
Miss St. John, yesterday you concluded your testimony to my learned friend by saying that Claire Howard has already made a most useful contribution to this sect of yours called the movement.
Yes.
By this most useful contribution, were you referring to capital, which Miss Howard's uncle left her in trust?
No, I wasn't. I was talking about her intelligence and energy.
You don't deny, do you, that Miss Howard was obliged to contact the trustees and demand the capital sum to be transferred to her in full, which she then handed over to the movement. And the sum was quite a considerable one, wasn't it?
No, not especially.
Well, we might quarrel as to what constitutes a large amount of money, but you don't deny, do you, that she wrote out a cheque for over £7,000?
Could have been, yes.
And the cheque, like all cheques written out by way of contributions to the movement by trainees, was made out to a Panamanian-registered company called Oceanside Holdings, was it not?
Yes. There's nothing illegal about it.
No. Now, you're not merely an instructor, are you? Within the hierarchy of the group, you are Mr. Bill Allen, second in command and so-called European coordinator, are you not?
Yes, I am.
And your real name is Mary Janet Bates, isn't it?
That's the name on my birth certificate, yes.
And it is in the name of Mary Janet Bates that the Federal Democratic Republic of West Germany is at present seeking your extradition to face charges arising out of various alleged financial irregularities with regard to the movement.
Well, really, Your Honor, I do object. It is not Miss St. John who is on trial today, but the defendants Roy and Jennifer Howard.
What is the purpose of your question, Mr. Ellis?
Your Honor, it is my submission that the movement is run by the charlatans and exists only to exploit young people in the most ruthless fashion. It is my submission that unless the jury is made aware of the true nature of the movement, it is impossible for them to tell whether Miss Claire Howard has been telling the truth in this court or has been brainwashed or intimidated into committing perjury.
Yes, Mr. Ellis, I'm inclined to agree with you on general terms, but you must not raise the matter of allegations which have been made in another country and which have not yet been proved against Miss St. John. Members of the jury will therefore disregard counsel's last question.
As it please, Your Honor. Miss St. John, will you tell the court what a somascope is?
The somascope?
Yes. What is it and what is it used for?
The somascope is a machine. It's a small black box with wires in it which you attach to the apprentice's wrist or ankle. It gives a very mild electric shock, and it's only used to correct very deeply ingrained negative habits of thought.
And in the case of an especially recalcitrant trainee, the wires are attached to the head, are they not?
Newspaper hysteria.
Oh, come now, Miss St. John. The experiences of a number of ex-members of the movement have been well enough documented to leave little room for doubt in this matter.
There may have been one or two occasions when an overzealous instructor has used the somascope in an unauthorized manner, possibly.
Yes. And the trainees are similarly made to endure long spells of sensory deprivation, are they not? With their eyes blindfolded and plugs of wax in their ears.
What you call sensory deprivation, we call sensory withdrawal. The senses are the greatest enemy to spiritual contemplation. Ask any Indian mystic. We set our apprentices free.
Free? Well, it'll be for the jury to appraise the strange freedom that you have made available to Claire Howard. However, on the evening of October the 16th, you and Miss Howard were sitting at the restaurant table with Mr. and Mrs. Howard. You talked freely, whereas Miss Howard said very little. Isn't that so?
She was rather quiet, yes. I don't think she liked being in her parents' company, that's all.
And yet when an apparently light-hearted dispute arose as to whether she or you should fetch this book from the car, Miss Howard was adamant it should be you, wasn't she?
I didn't recall any such dispute.
Well, when you returned from the car, you saw a group of people outside the restaurant shouting and scuffling, but you were far too far away to identify them. Is that right?
Yes.
And likewise, at this distance, it was not possible for you to ascertain the cause of the commotion.
No, but I've never suggested otherwise.
Yes, now you saw Claire with her parents, and then you added, because I knew instantly what was happening, she was being kidnapped.
Yes, I did.
But you knew nothing of the kind, did you? In fact, you only later discovered the actual cause of the commotion, namely an argument over the restaurant bill.
Yes, I've already said that, but in the confusion
I
of the
suggest
situation,
that she was being led, not dragged along, as you thought. And the reason that you misconstrued the scene was that the alternative explanation, namely that this promising new recruit had voluntarily chosen to escape from your influence was too hard for you to bear, wasn't it?
She was being dragged. I saw it.
And what's more, Miss St. John, Claire Howard only began to cry and struggle when she saw you coming down the road and became justifiably terrified of what punishment the movement and her self-appointed instructor might inflict on her as a consequence of this betrayal. Isn't that so?
No. You're twisting everything.
And Mr. Rossi, how long have you worked at the Mirador restaurant?
11 years.
You've been head waiter at that establishment for the last 5 of those years, correct?
5 years, yes, I have that honor.
Now, you've already told us that on the evening in question you showed Miss Howard and Miss St. John to the table where her parents were already seated. What did you do when you learned that Miss St. John wished to join their party?
But I asked them to move to table 15. Table 4 is a small table, not suitable for 4 persons.
And did the defendants agree to move to table 15?
No, they say that table, and point to table number 8.
Where is table 8 situated?
Right next to the main entrance, close to the bar counter.
And is this table popular with the customers?
No, there it is very noisy, and in the winter, very cold.
And did the defendants, however, move to table 8?
Yes, they insist.
Then later, did Miss St. John leave the party and go out of the restaurant?
Yes, the signora there, yes.
And not long after that, Mr. Rossi, what did you see?
I see them first while they go out. The father, the mother, and the signorina, who seems molto ubriaca, very drunk. Each one holds an arm of the signorina, who cries and says, "No, no." Then they go out. And I say to waiter Giuseppe, "Do they pay the bill?" And he says, "No." So I think, maybe the signorina not so drunk after all.
Well, you're saying, are you, that you suspected that Miss Howard was just pretending to be drunk and her parents pretending to carry her out as a ruse for avoiding payment of the bill?
A ruse, certo. Over the years, many tricks played on poor Rossi. Many.
But did you and the waiter Giuseppe follow the defendants into the street?
Yes, and they pull the signorina to a car. And all the time she cries, "No, no, let me go." Then I shout, and Giuseppe shouts and waves the bill like this.
What seemed to you to be the attitude of Miss Howard to leaving the Mirador and going with her parents towards the car?
She did not wish it. But in my mind, I think all the time, Mr. Howard will pay. So I hold his arm like he held the signorina. Then the other signora comes along, and she starts to shout, and we shout.
Did Miss Howard then enter the car?
They force her in the front, or the back. I cannot remember.
But force was used on Miss Howard, is that correct?
Yes. Then all the 3 are in the car, and I shout, and Giuseppe shouts, so Mr. Howard, he throw out 2 20-pound notes for the bill.
How much did the bill come to? Do you remember?
30 pounds. So I shout, "Hey, wait, aspetti, I bring you your change." But boom, they're gone.
Well, they just drove away at high speed without waiting for the £10 change.
Yes.
Yeah? Thank you, Mr. Rossi. No further questions.
Mr. Rossi, when my learned friend asked you if you saw the defendants leave their table and make for the entrance to the Mirador, you replied, "I see them first while they go out."
Yes.
And by this you meant, did you not, that you didn't see them leave the table, but you did see them as they reached the entrance of the Mirador?
Right.
Why, bearing in mind you were suspicious of them and wanted to keep an eye on them, did you not see them rise from table 8?
Well, I have other guests to attend to, naturally.
Yes. How full was the Mirador this time on a Saturday evening?
Very full.
And how many tables were there between you and the entrance to the Mirador when this occurrence happened?
I am at the other end of the Mirador, at the back. So many tables.
Yes, and the Mirador also possesses, does it not, a number of loudspeakers set in the ceiling through which a tape of popular Italian music is played, doesn't it?
Yes, always. Music and wine make people happy, animated.
Yes. So despite this animation and the music and the distance involved, you are still maintaining, are you, that you heard Miss Howard crying, "No, no, no," as she was led to the entrance?
Yes. Yes. Maybe later in the street. I'm not so sure.
Right so, Mr. Rossi. Now, likewise, since your suspicion was that you were witnessing a trick, Miss Howard pretending to be drunk and her parents pretending to support her, she was not at this stage struggling to free herself from their grasp and return to her seat, was she?
Maybe, maybe not, but capisci? I see them get up. And quickly and straight away I think, they are leaving and they not pay the bill.
Yes, and it was this aspect alone which concerned you at that moment, am I right?
Well, of course.
Yes. Now, the role of head waiter at an establishment such as the Mirador, which prides itself on its high standard of cuisine and service, is a particularly demanding one, isn't it?
Oh, yes, very. I call it my painful pleasure.
Yes, and on a busy evening like Saturday, your mind has to be in 100 places at once, am I right?
Certainly.
So when customers depart leaving their bills unpaid, it must be rather annoying for you, must it not, on top of many other calls on your attention?
Yes.
And so it was in such a flustered and impatient frame of mind that you followed the waiter Giuseppe into the street in pursuit of the two defendants, am I right?
No, signor Avvocato, I am never flustered. I should say, even in such circumstances.
I see. But you don't deny, do you, that your one thought as you argued with Mr. Howard was that you were going to be paid?
That, yes, I agree.
So you only noticed Miss St. John after she had joined your group, am I right?
Yes.
So you couldn't have noticed, as I suggest, that Miss Howard only began to cry and struggle when she saw Miss St. John approaching down the street, could you, Mr. Rossi?
But all the time she cries, in the street, in the car. It is her parents who make her afraid.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Howard?
I'm an estate agent.
In fact, you are the senior partner in a firm of estate agents in Fulchester called Howard and Hotchkiss. Is that not right?
Yes, that's correct.
You were married in 1962 to the second defendant, Jennifer Howard, and your daughter Claire was born in 1964, correct?
Yes.
And from an early age, Claire demonstrated an exceptional flair, am I right, in two fields, both mathematics and music.
Yes.
And in 1975, she became a pupil at the Fulchester High School for Girls.
Right, yes.
Now, during her teens, was your relationship with her an easy one?
Well, by and large, yes. Like most teenagers, she went through a rebellious phase, with my wife and I being Mr. and Mrs. Stalin. But she seemed to blossom into a good-natured, clever young woman. I was very proud of her. I adored her. I still do.
And in 1982, she took her A-levels.
Yes.
What grades did she achieve, Mr. Howard? Can you remember?
They were all grade A.
Yes, and with these splendid results, she secured a place at University College London. Is that
For
right?
the autumn of last year. She was very excited about it, but
Now, did she suffer any kind of reaction to studying so assiduously for her exams?
yes, at the beginning of July, she had a bad dose of flu, which put her in bed for a week. It left her feeling very low and depressed.
And your family doctor, did he not recommended that she should take herself away for a holiday?
Yes, she went to London and stayed with an old school friend called Sarah Camp.
Did you and your daughter keep in contact while she was away?
Yes, I rang every day, or she, me. On the day we expected her home, I rang up and it was Sarah who answered. She told me that Claire had gone to Reading to stay in this religious community called Dinton House.
Did you understand that her stay would be a temporary one?
Oh, yes, a week or so.
Did you, in the weeks that followed, try to get in touch with your daughter at Dinton House?
Well, we left it for a fortnight. After all, she was 18, and we didn't want her to feel that we were keeping tabs on her. Then I phoned up, and it was Miss St. John. She was very unpleasant.
Yes, and you learned from Miss St. John that Claire had become a trainee in the movement. Is that right?
Yes, and that we weren't allowed to speak or write to her, nor she to us.
Yes. Nevertheless, Mr. Howard, what did you receive some 2 months later?
Her postcard, the one that was read out earlier. It scared us to death.
When did the card arrive? Can you remember?
The Tuesday after it was posted.
Yes, so on the following Saturday, what did you do?
Having arranged to meet Claire at last, we drove to Reading.
Yes, and apart from simply meeting her, Mr. Howard, did your journey have another purpose?
Yes, we wanted to give her an easy opportunity to escape if she wanted to. And if she was reluctant, well, we'd have a couple of quiet hours alone with her to try to persuade her.
Yes, and in the event, however, you did not spend an evening alone with your daughter, did you?
No, Melissa St. John, or whatever she calls herself, turned up as well.
Yes, were you happy for Miss St. John to join your party at the Mirador restaurant?
Happy? No, I was furious.
Did you at some point tell her to piss off, as she alleged?
Well, yes.
Why did you, Mr. Howard?
Because every time Jenny or I asked Claire a question, it was that blasted woman who answered, twittering on about inner being and spiritual values, and here was our own daughter looking like... Well...
Yes. Now, had your daughter changed in appearance and manner since you'd last seen her in July?
Changed? Yes, she looked like a ghost.
When Miss St. John left the restaurant, did you take the opportunity to say something in particular to your daughter?
Yes. I said we've got 5 minutes, if that. The car's outside. Are you coming back with us, yes or no?
Yes, and how did she react to your proposition?
A bit taken aback, then alarmed. So I said, go on, have some wine, get your courage up. I poured her a glass of wine. And then, just as I finished pouring, she suddenly said, yes, take me home. I was so overjoyed, I banged the bottle down the table and said, good girl, or well done, or some expression like that. Then I laughed and said, drink up.
And did the wine have an effect on Miss Howard?
Yes, it did. In the excitement, I'd forgotten how physically weak she'd become. She turned dead white, started to sway in her chair, so I grabbed her by one arm, my wife took the other, and we led her outside. Then, well, it's pure pandemonium.
Now, did your daughter in any way resist when you led her from the restaurant?
No, she didn't. It was only in the street when she saw Miss St. John that she started to put up a fight.
Then why, Mr. Howard, did you not release her at this point?
Because I assumed she started to panic. Well, if I'd been through what she'd been through at Dinton House, I think I'd have panicked.
Yes. Now, was there anything your daughter said later which caused you to doubt this interpretation of her show of resistance?
No, definitely not.
And was it your clear understanding that you were bringing Miss Howard back to Fulchester with her consent?
I've never doubted it. Not for a moment.
Mrs. Howard, it was earlier alleged by Miss St. John that you scratched her in the face and pushed her into the gutter. Did you assault her in this manner?
I may have done. I can't remember exactly what I did, actually. As my husband said earlier, there seemed to be 100 things all happening at once. My only concern at that particular minute was to get Claire safely away and back to Fulchester.
Which you and your husband then did, is that correct?
Yes. Claire slept all the way with her head in my lap.
Yes. Did she wake up when you arrived home?
Hardly. Roy and I carried her upstairs, and then I undressed her and put her to bed. I was shocked how thin she'd become. Her spine and rib cage were clearly visible.
Yes. Now, before you yourselves retired to bed, did you, Mrs. Howard, lock the front and back doors of 18 Langfield Crescent?
Yes.
Did you secure all the window catches and even lock the door of your daughter's bedroom?
Yes.
Will you explain to the court why you did so?
Well, I'll try, but it's not easy to explain rationally. While Claire had been away, Roy and I had been living under great mental stress. From what we had begun to read in the newspapers about the movement, and from what I now knew at first hand, these people weren't just unreasonable, they were ruthless, fanatical, brutal. It seemed to me that they were capable of anything. Abduction, revenge, murder, even. You hear it every day on the news, don't you? Killing for a cause.
Mrs. Howard, are you saying that on the night of October the 16th, you were afraid that members of the movement might follow you home to Fulchester in order to harm you or to harm or abduct your daughter?
Very afraid, Your Honour. They knew our address through Claire.
And so you made your house as secure as possible in order to prevent them, is that right?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm grateful to you, Your Honor. The next morning, did a conversation take place in the kitchen between you and your daughter?
Yes.
In the course of this conversation, did she refer several times to the events of the evening before?
Naturally.
And was it your impression that she had been pleased to have been rescued and brought back to Fulchester?
Very much so, yes.
Did you and she have a blazing row, as Miss Howard now alleges?
No. She wasn't capable of a blazing anything, poor girl. Utterly exhausted, physically and mentally.
Yes. And what time did Miss Howard retire to bed?
At about 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yes. Will you tell the court, please, for how long she slept?
Until Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock.
18 hours of continuous sleep, Mrs. Howard. Is that correct?
That's right.
And on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, when she'd been asleep for 14 hours, what did you do?
I telephoned our doctor, Dr. McCartney. It was a silly sort of situation. On the one hand, I didn't want to wake her, but on the other, I was afraid she might be ill or in a coma. Anyway, the doctor came at 12, examined her, said she was all right and that sleep was probably the best thing.
Yes, and did Dr. McCartney make any other observations on her condition?
Yes. It was he who first mentioned the word brainwashing in connection with her experiences. He told us of a psychologist called Dr. Curtis at the Garth Clinic who might have some useful suggestions.
Yes, so did you make contact with this Dr. Curtis?
2 days later, yes.
Did you continue to keep the doors and windows locked?
Day and night, yes.
And was this because you still feared some reprisal by the movement?
No, Claire did. It was Claire who asked me to lock the doors.
Now, did Dr. Curtis make a visit to your house to see Miss Howard on the Thursday of that week?
Yes. He spent half an hour alone with Claire and about the same time with Roy and myself. He wanted Claire to go into the Garth straight away, but we wouldn't allow that.
Why not, Mrs. Howard?
Because she was frightened to leave the house. It seemed to us that a sense of security was essential to her in those early days, and, well, to give him his due, Dr. Curtis accepted all this.
Yes, and every afternoon, however, did you take Miss Howard for a walk?
Just around the garden, yes.
And how did your daughter respond to these excursions?
Not well. To be out of doors seemed to play on all her fears and anxieties. She'd clutch at my arm like someone drowning.
Yes. Now, was there an occasion when your daughter, as she has alleged, broke away from you and ran towards the garden gate?
Yes. But what she didn't mention was that she was having the most awful panic attack at the time. She could have rushed into the street, got knocked down. I had to stop her.
Were you witness to another, later incident when, according to your husband, your daughter ran into the street in a similar state of panic?
No, I wasn't. But can I repeat what has already been said? Roy would never have hit her. Never. He's the gentlest, mildest man alive.
On Dr. Curtis's third visit, when Miss Howard agreed to enter the Garth Clinic as a voluntary patient, did you, on this occasion, withhold your assent?
Of course not. The moment Claire was ready to go, we were ready for Dr. Curtis to take over.
And did you visit your daughter in the Garth Clinic?
Yes, every day. Both Roy and I were delighted with her progress. She'd put on weight. There was colour in her cheeks. She'd even begun to laugh the way she used to, the way I remembered. Then...
Mrs. Howard, what was your reaction when you learned that your daughter had absconded from the Garth Clinic and returned to Dinton House?
I was thunderstruck. I simply couldn't believe it.
The case of Claire Howard against Roy and Jennifer Howard will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court. The case you're about to see is a fictional one, but the procedure is authentic. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the general public, who will retire at the end of the trial to reach their own unrehearsed verdict. Roy Howard and his wife Jennifer stand accused of kidnapping and falsely imprisoning their daughter Claire, who is a member of a religious sect called the Movement. Today, the cross-examination of Mrs. Howard, the second defendant, is in progress.
Mrs. Howard, you have referred to the great mental stress under which you and your husband were living while your daughter was a trainee of the Movement at Dinton House. Did you have sleepless nights?
Probably. Yes, I did.
Indeed. In the months of August and September of last year, you consulted your family doctor, Dr. McCartney, on more than one occasion about your symptoms, didn't you?
Yes,
Did you tell him the cause of your anxiety, namely your daughter's situation?
of course.
And I suggest it was then, and not in October, as you stated earlier, that your doctor mentioned the possibility of your daughter's being brainwashed by the movement.
No.
And I suggest further that you first made contact with the psychologist, Dr. Curtis, not in October, but in August or September, while your daughter was still a trainee at Dinton House. Isn't that correct?
No, it was October.
Because there were no legal steps that you could take to recover your daughter, you then embarked, with the encouragement of Dr. Curtis, on a course of action which was to lead you to kidnap and imprison her.
No. No.
You say you had, in those 2 stressful months, begun to read newspaper items about the movement. Did those items include stories about parents in France, America, other countries, who had kidnapped their children from cult centers such as Dinton House and brought them home to be deprogrammed?
Quite possibly.
So the thought must have occurred to you that you might be able to do the same thing, mustn't it?
No, it didn't.
Oh, Mrs. Howard, here is your only child, gifted and intelligent, who's fallen into the hands of a sect, ruthless and fanatical, your own words. And for 2 months, you and your husband do nothing, plan nothing.
We did nothing because there was nothing we could do.
Now, your daughter's postcard arrived in Fulchester on Tuesday, October the 12th. It began, "Please come, please," and ended, "Come quickly," and the word quickly is underlined. But you didn't go quickly, did you?
Well, 4 days,
In
only...
fact, under the circumstances, your progress to Reading was quite dilatory, wasn't it? What were you doing for 4 days, Mrs. Howard?
My husband's a very busy man. He has responsibilities, well, not just to his family, but to his clients, his employees. He can't just drop everything at a moment's notice.
But you can drive, can't you, Mrs. Howard? Why didn't you go to Reading on your own?
No, it had to be both of us. In many ways, Roy has had a much closer relationship with Claire than I did.
The very next day, Wednesday, October the 13th, some builders arrived at your house in Langfield Crescent to make certain alterations to the property. Will you tell His Honour and the jury the nature of those alterations?
Yes, they put new locks on the front and back doors, mortise locks, and fitted locks and special catches to the windows.
Why did you order these alterations to be made?
Oh, that's easy to explain. In the early summer, there'd been a spate of burglaries in Langfield Crescent, and our insurance company advised us to improve our security arrangements. As for when the builders started work, that was a complete coincidence. They won't just turn up when you want them to, you know.
Oh, not even when, as in your husband's case, the builder is a long-standing friend.
No, not even then.
I see. What time did you and your husband arrive at the Mirador restaurant in Reading? Can you remember?
About 7:15, I believe.
In good time, at any rate, to find a suitable parking place for your car.
Yes, I suppose so.
Then why did you park directly outside the main entrance of the restaurant, on a double yellow line, and within a box which contained the words "No waiting" in large capital letters? Can you explain?
No.
You can't explain it, or you don't want to explain it?
Simple convenience, I expect.
Convenience? Convenient for what, Mrs. Howard?
I'm sorry? Would you mind repeating the question?
Yes. Why was it convenient to park your car directly outside the restaurant?
It was dark. We were in a strange town. We just wanted to park close to the restaurant. We didn't see the yellow lines.
No, Mrs. Howard. I suggest it was to facilitate the kidnap of your daughter.
No,
And
no.
it was for the same reason that you insisted on moving to a table in the noisiest and draftiest part of the restaurant, but which did have this one virtue, that it was close to the entrance. Isn't that right?
We weren't to know how noisy any particular table would be. We'd never been there before.
When you and your husband ordered your main course, can you recall what you ordered exactly?
Steak. We both ordered steak.
Yes, and as was your habit, you also ordered a bottle of wine to accompany the meal, didn't you?
Yes.
And the bottle you ordered was a sweet white dessert wine. Now, why did you order A dessert wine to go with steak.
I don't understand why you're dredging up these ridiculous petty details.
Just answer the question, Mrs. Howard. Why did you order such a wine? Was it so that its sweetness might disguise the bitterness of the drug that your husband dropped into your daughter's glass?
What nonsense. No, the wine waiter misunderstood the order, that's all. As the bottle had been opened, we thought we might as well drink it.
On the following Monday morning at 10 o'clock, when your daughter had been asleep for 14 hours, you rang your family doctor, correct?
Yes.
You were afraid Miss Howard might be, and I quote you here, ill or in a coma. Why did you think she might be in a coma?
Because she'd been asleep for so long.
Oh, was it only that? Or was it because you feared that your daughter might be suffering from a drug overdose?
There were no drugs. Where would I get drugs from?
Well, when you told Dr. McCartney of your sleepless nights, did he prescribe something to help you to sleep?
Yes. I don't know what they were called, some white pill. We never used it on Claire, I swear we didn't.
Mrs. Howard, 4 days after your daughter escaped from the Garth Clinic and returned to Dinton House, you wrote a letter to Miss St. John, didn't you?
Yes.
Can you remember what you said to her?
A great many foolish things, but I was terribly upset.
Yes, show the defendant Exhibit 2, would you please? Your Honour, members of the jury, may I draw your attention to Exhibit 2, which is a letter written by the defendant, Jennifer Howard, to Melissa St. John, dated the 19th of November, 1982, and in particular to the second paragraph of that letter. Is that the letter that you wrote, Mrs. Howard?
Yes.
Thank you. The second paragraph reads as follows. You stole our darling treasure from us once, and now you've done it again. But be warned, Miss St. John, what we did once, we can also do a second time. And though we don't want to, we will. And at a moment when you least expect it. Mrs. Howard, aren't those words an admission by you? As clear and unambiguous an admission as it's possible to have, that you kidnapped your daughter from the Mirador restaurant in October.
No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't. It means that we'll get Claire back the way we did last time, by persuading her.
But, Mrs. Howard, though we don't want to, we will. Why shouldn't you want to succeed in persuading your daughter to leave a sect whose very existence you consider reprehensible?
Not reprehensible. Evil. Evil. We didn't kidnap Claire. But even if we had done, would it have been wrong? Would it be wrong now to do it again?
Miss Kemp, when Miss Howard came to stay with you in London, did you take her with you to a number of student parties?
Yes.
And at one such party held in a flat in the Notting Hill Gate area of London, did you notice that Claire Howard had entered into conversation with one person in particular?
Yes, that's right. Yes. Melissa St. John.
Now, among your friends and fellow student associates, is Miss St. John generally referred to by any nickname?
Yes, she's called the Creep.
Why is she so called?
It's her manner. There's something very silky about the way she moves and speaks. She never breezes into a room. One minute she's not there, the next she looks like she's been there for hours. She's always sidling up to people, especially anyone new, trying to worm the most peculiar personal details out of them. And she's good at it, too. Well, the first time I met her, I felt almost hypnotized by her. Must have told her my life story, such as it is.
Yes, and for what reason is it generally believed she's so full of curiosity?
She's touting for recruits for the movement.
Did you alert Miss Howard about Miss St. John's reputation?
Of course I did, over and over again, but she wouldn't listen. Couldn't believe it. Claire was always so sensible.
Yes, and on the following Saturday, did you learn that your friend had gone to Dinton House near Reading?
Yes, I found a note on the mantelpiece. Soon afterwards, Roy, Claire's father, phoned up and I broke the news.
Yes, and how did he react when you told him?
He was very nice about it, as he is about everything.
When did you next see Miss Howard?
Late October. I'd hitched back to Fulchester for my mother's birthday, and when I heard Claire was back, I went to see her. I saw her 3 times altogether that weekend.
Now, Miss Kemp, this is very important. Was there anything said by either of the defendants or any allusion made by Miss Howard to her present situation which led you to believe that she was being imprisoned in her parents' house?
No, nothing.
On the occasion of your third visit to the house, did you and she go out into the garden together?
Yes, we walked round for about half an hour.
Were the two of you accompanied by either Mr. or Mrs. Howard?
No. No, we were quite alone.
Thank you, Miss Kemp.
Miss Kemp, when you were at school with Claire Howard, she had the reputation of being a loner, a difficult person whom it was hard to get close to, isn't that right?
Difficult? No, I wouldn't agree with that. She was always perfectly pleasant. But very single-minded, especially as regards schoolwork.
Yes, and when she came to visit you in London, her holiday followed a year of extreme hard work, in conditions of even greater isolation than usual, didn't it?
Yes, perhaps.
When Miss Howard decamped to Dinton House, instead of returning to Fulchester, and decamped in the company of a woman you yourself once found, what was that word you used, hypnotic? Well, under all the circumstances, you may have found the news unpleasant, but it was hardly surprising, was it, Miss Kemp?
I wasn't surprised she went, no. I was surprised she stayed, that's all.
The first time you visited Miss Howard in late October, did you call at her parents' house without warning?
Oh, no, I rang first. I wasn't sure if she'd want to see me.
Now, you've told us that nothing said either by Miss Howard or the two defendants led you to believe that your friend was imprisoned there. But did either defendant tell you that Miss Howard had requested all the doors and windows to be locked because she was afraid of intruders?
No.
No. So, as far as you were concerned, you were visiting a household which only took the most normal precautions over security, weren't you?
Yes, I suppose so.
Yes, for instance, on the occasion when you and Claire Howard went walking in the garden. You wouldn't have found it at all extraordinary if Mrs. Howard unlocked the kitchen door, would you? In fact, you wouldn't even have noticed her doing so, would you?
Well, I didn't notice, no. But if Claire had been in prison, she would have told me.
I suggest quite the contrary, Miss Kemp. In the past, you told Miss Howard about your dislike of the movement, didn't you?
Yes.
And your antipathy towards Miss St. John?
Yes.
So it would hardly be surprising if she mentioned neither Dinton House nor her imprisonment, would it?
No.
No, thank you, Miss Kemp.
Dr. Curtis, you are a psychologist and behavior therapist, are you not?
Yes, I am.
And for the past 15 years, you have on many occasions contributed papers and articles to learned journals both here and abroad. Is that right?
Yes.
And for some time now, you have specialized, have you not, in one particular field of study?
I have.
What is that field, Dr. Curtis?
In conjunction with some British and American colleagues, I've done research into the new wave of religious cults and sects, of which the movement is one.
Yes. And what methods does the movement use to inculcate its beliefs?
Well, it employs deprivation, largely. The young trainees, apprentices they're called in the jargon of the movement, are systematically deprived of food, sleep, warmth, and at the same time they're made to feel unworthy and inadequate. Of course, these tactics might not have much effect on a mature adult, but in the case of an insecure or unhappy 18 to 20-year-old, they can really be surprisingly effective.
Would the systematic application of such methods as you describe be what the layman might call brainwashing?
Well, I suppose you might, yes. I'd prefer to say that the movement uses its techniques to systematically diminish or indeed obliterate one of the most vital of human functions, namely the capacity to make a rational choice. It's my job to try to restore that capacity.
Yes, what measure of success have you had with previous members of cults like the movement, Dr. Curtis?
I think we've been quite successful, bearing in mind the novelty of the problem. Of course, there have to be failures along the way, and I'm afraid to say that Claire Howard was one of my failures.
Yes. Now, will you tell the court how you first came into contact with Miss Howard?
Her mother rang me at the clinic, sounding distraught.
On which date was that, Dr. Curtis, can you remember?
October the 20th, Wednesday, I believe. Mrs. Howard told me that Claire was frightened to leave the house, so we agreed that I'd visit them the following day, which I did.
Yes, and when you had been introduced to Claire Howard, did you spend any time with her alone?
Yes, about half an hour.
Yes. How did she appear to you?
Well, physically, There was something dull and lifeless about her. She seemed unable to stop shivering. Mentally, she had really very poor concentration, often starting sentences and not finishing them. I gave her a few simple tests, such as naming the months of the year in reverse order, which she was quite unable to do. Altogether, she resembled a shock victim.
Yes, were you left with the impression that she had been brainwashed, using the term in its popular sense?
Quite, yeah. Well, I'd prefer to say that she was a young woman with impoverished responses and a damaged self-esteem. If indeed they had tried to brainwash her, they'd only partially succeeded.
Yes. Now, did you conclude your visit to Langfield Crescent by interviewing Mr. and Mrs. Howard in private?
Yes, I did. I told them that it was emphatically my opinion that Claire be removed immediately to the Garth Clinic for treatment.
This clinic being the private psychiatric clinic where you are based, is that right?
I have a number of beds there, yes.
Yes. What did the parents say in reply to your suggestion?
Well, Mr. Howard asked me whether Claire wanted to go into the Garth, and I had to say no, she didn't. He then said, in that case, there's the end of the matter. Now, I pointed out that Claire was hardly in a fit state of mind to reach any kind of rational decision. But as far as they were concerned, her wishes were paramount.
There the matter was left, was it?
For the time being, yes. I gave them such advice as I could, that she should be kept warm and eat well and regularly, that kind of thing.
Yes. Now, you visited Claire Howard twice more, did you not, on the following Thursday and the Thursday after?
Yes.
Yes. Did you mark any change in her condition over that fortnight?
Oh, yes, very much so. Yes, there was a marked improvement.
Yes. And at that third interview, did you suggest to Miss Howard that she might reconsider her decision not to go into the Garth Clinic?
Yes, I did, and this time she agreed to go. She arrived with her parents the following day.
How did you envisage your role, Dr. Curtis, during Miss Howard's stay at the Garth Clinic?
My role? Well, really, I suppose I had a dual role, as Claire's teacher and also as her pupil. Her teacher, in that I wanted her to relearn how to make her own decisions and not to be afraid to make mistakes. Her pupil, in that I and my colleagues need as much information as we can possibly get about cults like the movement in order to facilitate this sometimes painful relearning process.
Did Claire Howard impart the information you required?
Yes, freely and in great detail. She could hardly have been more cooperative, which is why I was all the more surprised and disappointed when she absconded.
And I dare say, Dr. Curtis, that as a psychologist, you are a member of at least one professional association or institute?
I am, yes.
Yes. And when one joins such an association, one agrees to abide by its rules and uphold its constitution, does one not?
Yes.
Now, you don't deny, do you, that you understand Miss Howard to have gone to Dinton House of her own free will?
That was my understanding, yes.
And was it also your understanding that she elected once again of her own free will to become a trainee in the movement and to obey the rules imposed on trainees?
Well, now, I very much doubt. In fact, I'd put it more strongly than that. I know for certain that Claire didn't realize when she agreed to become a trainee what she was letting herself in for. You see, these people are like high-pressure salesmen. They give you no time to think.
Yes, Dr. Curtis, despite the fact that the movement is a legal organization to which many of your fellow citizens belong and from which they derive spiritual, psychological benefit, you would ban it if you had your way, wouldn't you?
Yes. Yes, I would. I'd like to see it banned. If it's permitted to exist by law, then, in my opinion, there's something wrong with the law.
In fact, I suggest you felt so strongly about the matter that you advised the defendants, Roy and Jennifer Howard, in August or September of last year, did you not, to kidnap Miss Howard while she was still a trainee at Dinton House.
No, I didn't.
I suggest you did. And I further suggest that your convictions in this matter, strongly and sincerely as they are held, are such that you are prepared to perjure yourself here to protect the defendants. Isn't that so?
No.
But you see, Dr. Curtis, there always remains one stubborn and unyielding fact, that after almost 3 weeks under lock and key at her former home, and 10 days of deprogramming at your Garth Clinic, when the opportunity arose, Claire Howard decided to escape from the Garth Clinic and return to Dinton House. Now, did she?
Well, now, in the first place, Claire was under lock and key because she asked to be. No matter what she says now, or may have been told to say, as far as her escape goes, that really proves nothing. You see, this kind of cult can easily generate a form of addiction. Claire wanted to give up the movement in very much the same way as an alcoholic wants to give up drink. All it takes is one moment of weakness to undo the work of months.
Now, to conclude, members of the jury, because this case has considerable emotional overtones, I must remind you that your task is concerned, as I have already directed you, with the application of the law to the facts. Now, if you decide that the prosecution has proved beyond all reasonable doubt that the two accused, Roy Howard and Jennifer Howard, stole their daughter Claire Howard from the Mirador restaurant in Reading on the evening of October the 16th and carried her away by car to their house in Fulchester against her will, knowing that they were acting against her will, either because they simply forced her to leave with them or because they overcame her will by means of drink or drugs, or both, then you must find the two accused guilty of the charge of kidnapping. Now, that is count one. If you further decide that the prosecution has proved beyond all reasonable doubt that the two accused intentionally and without lawful reason or excuse kept Miss Howard confined against her will for any considerable period of time during the dates set out in count two, then you must find the two accused guilty of the charges of false imprisonment. You see, if Miss Howard was not at liberty to overstep some boundary imposed by her parents, then she was falsely imprisoned. Now, you must consider the cases of Roy Howard and Jennifer Howard separately and bring in a separate verdict for each of them on each count. Now, will you now retire, elect a foreman to speak for you on your behalf, and consider your verdict?
The prisoners will stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Please answer my first question, yes or no. Have you reached verdicts upon which you're all agreed?
Yes.
On the first count, do you find the defendant Roy Howard guilty or not guilty of kidnapping?
Guilty.
On the first count, do you find the defendant Jennifer Howard guilty or not guilty of kidnapping?
Guilty.
On the second count, do you find the defendant Roy Howard guilty or not guilty of false imprisonment?
Not guilty.
On the second count, do you find the defendant Jennifer Howard guilty or not guilty of false imprisonment?
Not guilty.
And those are the verdicts of you all?
Yes.
The judge conditionally discharged Mr. and Mrs. Howard for 2 years in view of the exceptional circumstances of the case.